XB1, how do I want to do this? I like to make a table. So I say,
BJ,
yeah.
for the second slope that you have drawn there, is the XD the same or did you move?
No, the
Okay.
slope should be the same. I moved XD. Hopefully that's big enough in the back. So you repeat this for a while. And then once you have a sufficient number of points, you can then plot these columns against each other. Like scatter plot in Excel. What's that?
You said that you've got it on Excel.
Oh yeah, you don't have Excel, so you just plot it like this. X plot.
So should we get graph paper? Should we bring graph paper?
If you, I'll provide you with graph paper. You don't have to graph it. There's smarter ways you can do it. But if you like to see it, graph it. You should graph
I think you can interpolate it. So like in between the points is just a straight line. I think that's how you do it.
You read up on everything. You read
No, that's not on the quiz though. Oh, you just like you have the point.
Yeah, so that'll be later. So for constructing what the graph looks like, you got to do it this way. That's kind of hard to kind of do that. Turns out.
Well, in each case,
All right, so you plot your points, you fit a curve, and then you can look at your limits of integration. So say z is there, say xb is there. You have to compute this area, which I don't care how you do this. Andrew mentioned a Riemann sum, that's okay. Simpson's rule is an accurate one. Midpoint rule is fine. Trapezoidal rule. Whatever. Counting squares.
That's what I'm thinking.
Any method of numerical integration.
Wait, so you were saying that we don't need to technically graph it? Is that just because like we don't really need to see the trapezoidal rule?
Right. So if you have this plot, you don't need to see the trapezoidal rule to do it. You can just do it like that. Or Simpson's rule, you don't need to actually see it in order to do it.
How do you do Simpson's rule?
There's a formula. I think I gave it on last year's. I'll give it again.
Wait, how do you? Because I think on that one you needed to like see where the point went up to. Could you? I mean.
You could just interpolate.
Okay.
So you know, just do it that way.
Okay.
Yep.
That's not even.
These two? Z and XB. There and there. So that's an important thing. You generally don't want to extrapolate, so you should be sure that when you're making your plot that you go to the right of Z and to the left of XB.
Wait, what do you mean?
So like if your Z was like
okay.
0.9 or something and you're out here, you don't want to be guessing where this point is.
If it's paying XD, why can't you just do Y is equal to alpha X?
Because there's multiple stages.
Oh,
So
okay.
that would work for one stage, but not for 5 stages.
Okay.
Sure.
So just to make sure, like, should we, I know this is like a brash thing to ask, should we focus on this, or do we need to worry about like asymptotes or azeotropes, excuse me? Like,
No, azeotropes. I don't think you talked a lot about azeotropes.
Okay.
think that's probably what worried is because he just like mentioned it like once and
Oh.
you're like, oh god.
Emily?
What XP value would you be given that, or? is that-
It depends. So if you're not given that, then what you have to do, so if you're not given XP, you'll generally be given the other side. So you'll have like a number that you need. And then in that case, you would have to do, you know your Z limit, so you'd go by Z. What I would do is I would do thin slices, so I would do like this part, and I would check it, compare it. If you need more area, try again, and you add these two. Just keep going until you get to you match the left-hand side.
Do you do the same amount of stages per points over there? Like if you have 5 stages, you do 5 points. 6 stages. And how do you
No, that doesn't matter. I'd say like a good rule of thumb is do at least 5. Possibly more if you like
Five
action.
data points.
Yeah, five, at least 5 points to get the shape of the curve. Casey?
Do you find that XD is a function of XB through mass balance?
Which X did you?
No, this is finding your XD as a function of XB.
Just good.
And for the 5 data points, make sure you space them out sensibly. So most of the time it should have like a shape like this, where if XB is low, this number will be high, and then it'll go low in the middle and then high on the other side. Dave?
What were you saying about if you don't know the final B, is that what you're saying? Then you have to take
Yeah, so it depends on what the problem's asking for and what you're looking for. So if you don't know XB, you'll generally be given B. You have to be given something in order to solve it.
But in which case would if you wouldn't know if you know XB, then you know how wide your interval has to be. So if you don't know XB, you're saying that's when you would do take
so
a section and calculate.
Yeah, if I didn't know where this point was, I would just do tiny slices until I would know what this. I could just calculate what that is, so I know the number I'm shooting for.
Right.
So you just do slices like this.
And so you got that. Okay, I see.
How tiny a slice is like 0.05, 0.1?
It's hard to say without the graph. You just gotta kind of try it and see.
The 1 over xd minus xb, is that used because the function is?
Yep, that's because that's the integrand.
Okay. Rather if it was just like xd minus xb times dxb, that would be the function rather?
Right, so you're saying if it was integral this?
Yeah.
Yeah, then, right. Then you would just do this instead of 1 over.
Okay.
So basically, we're given everything, we have to know one side. So we're given like B and B naught, or we're given Z or XB.
Yep.
We have to know one side.
Right. Marina?
So for in the Simpsons rule, like how you presented it on last year's quiz, when you're plugging in, like say A at the top.
All right, well,
and you're
so everyone else knows what was the what's Simpsons rule?
integrals from A to B. Yes. Equals B minus A divided by 6. Times the sum of f of A plus, or sorry, not sum, just like adding something. Plus 4f of A plus B over B. Plus f.
Okay.
So our function in this case is 1 over xd minus xb. Xb is what we're plugging in for, since it's dxb. So what would you use with the xd? Like if you're putting in A, which in this case is C, what xd do you use?
Okay, so A is Z.
You graph it?
So this would be whatever this is f of A.
Oh,
And then this would be XB. There.
so if you're doing it graphically, you can just kind of estimate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Simpsons rule in this case is redone every time you pick a new like slice.
Right. Well, the nice thing about Simpson's rule is you can just redo it. So if you were to pick, you don't even have to add the slices. It doesn't matter. So you can do You can do a Simpsons rule on this part, or if that doesn't work, you can just retry totally different numbers and try it again. But yeah, you could do that.
So with Simpson's rule, you don't need to graph it.
No, I mean, you don't technically need to graph it at all. It just helps if you're visual.
But do we have to graph it on the example for just one more there?
I mean, it helps the grader see like what you're doing too. It just helps for visualization. Yeah.
How many points do you think we should get on a plot?
My rule of thumb is about 5, well spaced. Just make sure you get the shape. It should be like a U shape.
And that's 5 points within the, like, in the case of the quiz, like 0.25 and 5?
No, you want to make sure you're outside. So if you're given the limits, you want to be outside of those, and you want to be inside. So the 5 is like a minimum.
So like 5 points total around?
Yeah, just to get a good shape of the curve.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah.
The XBs they use to guess your successive XBs, which is kind of random. How do you choose?
Yeah, so after you do it a few times, you'll start to notice some things. So if I pick XDs and I'm getting, it's going to be tough to explain. Try to bear with me on this part. Say I have a really low reflex ratio. So if I have a low reflex ratio, what should this slope look like? Yeah, horizontal. So say my Z is low. Z is 0.2. So if I'm guessing an XD, that's 0.9. And there's 3 stages. This XB will be 0.5 around. I'm just guessing numbers. So if I guess XD now is 0.85, I'm not gaining any information because I have to get to Z equals 0.2. Would that make sense? So I should pick a lower XD so that my XB ends up being, close to this range. Because this is the part I care about.
Because otherwise you're just guessing, like, past your drone.
Yeah, right. Because then you're just getting points up here and it's not.
So, is it below down or is this below down?
What's that?
So like basically on that graph, you're up down to Z as far as the information you're trying to get. Is it low down or 0?
XB.
Okay.
Huh?
Would that be given or do you know?
It might be given or you might not. But I mean, you want to be around Z and you just want to be, it'll be clear if you try some practice problems.
So if we're just guessing XB and we're trying to find the area that matches, like, just somewhere in the general range of the same thing, 10%, or
Yep.
just somewhere around it. Because I mean, like, otherwise you're counting like half squares and
Right.
quarter squares. Yeah.
Don't be doing that.
If you're not given XB, you have to guess XB and get the area. If the area doesn't match your view on
Andrew.
the other side, you have to guess again.
Yeah.
And it's like totally separated into
The
half
figure you have
squares.
around there, the reboiler and condenser for those state are not state,
No, this one is.
That's an equal.
Yeah, but that's a total condenser, so no.
Okay, so you still count the reboiler in your graph.
Right.
So if you say 3 stages, it's 3 stages plus the reboiler.
Yep.
Does this problem ever exist with a total or a non-total condenser?
No, because then you're feeding vapor into like a tank instead of a vessel, and that doesn't make sense.
And could you have anything other than an equilibrium reboiler? Partial reboiler? I mean, you have to, right?
Yeah, you have to have you have to have a partial reboiler.
Yeah, that's what it makes.
Yeah.
You can't do it without it.
Right.
And in lecture, I remember talking about like you're usually given in or on, not necessarily both. How would that affect things?
You're not given what, but
Both in and R. I remember in lecture he's talked about the 2 types of problems being like get in to find R and get R.
oh yeah. So I think there's a homework problem about this, but if R is not constant,
You have to
if
guess.
instead you say that XD average is constant, and you switch R as you go.
That's right, it's either XD or R, one of them has to be constant, right?
Yeah, so then if you do that, then XD is constant.
Oh. So
And then you don't have to do this weird integral business, you can just integrate that because then XD is not a function of XB, it's a constant.
Right.
If the problem says that XD is you're changing your reflux ratio such that XD average is constant.
Okay.
So then in that case, you just solve analytically and then everything should be taken care of.
The way we were doing it is assuming R is constant, right?
Right.
Okay.
Aaron.
So, when you're doing this, would you get a negative answer on the right side?
Mhm.
Okay. So then, a lot
Good
of
catch.
Yeah, XD
A lot of
average is
people
constant.
were like,
Then we
what do I
solving
do
for both
last
final
year?
B.
So I was like,
A lot of confusion because B minus B naught is negative. So
Because
B
R
minus
is constantly changing, and we know the specified N, and we know.
I was just thinking like
constant,
natural
and we
log.
have the-
Remember this rule, that you can always do this.
What if you don't know A?
But then you would probably have to know B or XD or whatever to get in.
Because you
Then you
know.
would get getting in there and then
So if you switch the limits of
You would
integration,
need to go
you
XD
can take
average.
that. I think that's
You
a
need to know the
fundamental
final
theorem of
conditions, right? If you know the
calculus.
final conditions, you can find.
Yeah, I was just wondering,
Well,
like,
usually, yeah,
I was wondering if I was thinking that wrong, because then I was like, well, the XD minus XD, that can definitely.
No, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm just really thinking about this. If it didn't specify the number of stages and it's a defined number of stages, like, would it have to give us a final statement so we can find out what the number of stages were?
like, yeah.
Yes, then you'd have to be given, that whole equation has to be specified then in that case.
Yeah, okay, so that like makes some sense. So we'll always have specified number of stages.
Right.
We all,
Yeah, unless it's constant R and you're given R.
What's that?
And reflex ratio?
And reflex ratio what?
Like, do we always specify the number of stages and the reflex?
Oh, no. So you could, we were just talking about this. If you specify that XD average stays constant, then you'd have a varying reflux ratio.
but in that situation, will we be solving then for final B? Like, that's like.
Yeah, that's the same thing. You could be asked to solve for B, XB.
Because that would be the only unknown, or yeah, XB, I guess, would be the final, it would just be your final information.
XD average stays constant. How do you draw that on the,
You don't have to do the diagram in that case, because then
XD is constant.
if XD is constant, then it's not a function of XB, and you could just integrate this
Oh,
analytically.
You just get six.
Oh,
Yeah, then you either B, you know XB.
What's that?
Or you know B, and you just guess the, whichever one you need to know, you guess it, so you find it.
Yeah, you could.
that's good.
I would leave the variable and then just treat it as a constant and integrate it first, then plug it in at the
So
end.
this is if you're given
They
B,
don't
you just guess it. No?
Oh, no, no.
Well,
XD
yeah,
is
if you don't
constant.
specify XD,
If
then
we
you'd
are
solve
given
it
that XD
and then just
average
keep
is
XD
constant
in.
throughout the whole thing, then we know.
Yeah, then you'd
XD
have-
XD is a constant, so we can guess XB to make that statement true. if we
I'm
know
not
the
sure.
final
I don't know.
Oh,
It'll be specified.
Because that's all.
I mean, you'll be able to get it somehow through mass balances or something.
Interesting. Is there anything else that you think would like important values?
I think if you got this, I think you could. Next, I would, if you got this, I would actually start studying for next week because there's a lot of
Are we
just junk to remember for next
Is
week.
that when we're gonna get into back column study next week? For Christmas?
Yeah, we're getting into pack columns.
Okay.
I think I uploaded my note packet. Pretty sure I did. I'll double check that.
For data, so the only data we need to bring with us to this quiz is the alpha equals 2.
Mhm.
And that's it.
All right, Jerry, you
That
ready?
makes me sad that you're like, oh, if you have this, you should probably start studying for next week, because otherwise you'll be doing it.
Yeah, we're not stopping. We're plugging right through to the end.